Looks to come inside and fire one a goal and find the back of the net for Perth.
And the Azzurri have come back from 2 goals down to tie it up.
Cue the celebrations for the Azzurri.
Yeah, welcome to the Perth SC Podcast, episode 5, coming to you from the Perth San Siro. Great to have you with us again. Another huge episode. Another big week for the Azzurri, wasn't it? Plenty of big results, and we'll go through them very, very shortly. We've got another big episode to come. Some big guests, in fact. Michael Scafetta, he's going to jump on to have a chat about his return to Perth, and also Sam Mathers will join us from the NPLW side, and she's been in ripping form as well for the Azzurri girls, so it's a night for the wingers, and we'll get to those very, very shortly. First of all, a big shout out and a big thanks once again for the support of Lidio Fiore and the team at the Panorama Club, and also Camera House in Leederville. You might have seen the release on the social media pages, just a little bit on Camera House in Leederville. It's been the cornerstone of Perth's visual and creative scene for over 30 years. It's a family-owned and family-run business, has become the go-to destination for Leederville and the wider Perth creative community, providing expert advice and a comprehensive range of photography and video equipment. If you're ever in the market to get some new gear, make sure you visit them down at Oxford Street in Leederville. A little bit more off-field news this week with the grand opening of that magnificent home in the beautiful Rivermark Estate in Vivish, out towards the Swan Valley there. That home is going to go on the market very soon, and of course, a big contribution to the fundraising here at Perth Soccer Club. So I was lucky enough to actually head out there and have a bit of a chat to Jason Marocchi and the Perth SC committee, and of course the very generous sponsors and suppliers, and taking a bit of a grand tour. But I started off and I asked Jason a little bit about how this innovative idea all came together.
Two of our elder statesmen at the club, Dom Stilitano and Tony Finney, we're trying to get Dom onto our sponsorship committee, and Dom sort of said, look, rather than asking sponsors for 5, 10, 15, 20 grand, I don't want to do that. Let's build a house. For me, I thought that sounded a little bit more difficult than asking people for money. But look, the foresight of those guys, the elder statesmen of the club, the commitment and contribution from Trio Homes has been enormous. Neil Salvia, who designed the home for us, Hesperia, who has provided us the lot here in Vivash in the Rivermark Estate on some really good terms. All of the other sponsors and suppliers who've donated time, materials, labour. This is a brilliant home. It's going to be a fantastic home for the lucky purchaser, and we're very proud. We're very grateful, and it shows how strong the Perth Soccer Club community is. It's the old Midland Brick site, which Hesperia is developing. Hesperia probably the best developer going around. A real focus on sustainability. So, solar panels, the whole lot. Fantastic home, fantastic neighbourhood, and the people who end up with this home are going to end up with a top quality home in a top quality location.
So we're with Vince from Trio Homes. Vince and your team put a fair bit of work into this magnificent home. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a wonderful home, designed by Neil Salvia, built by Trio Homes, and with a myriad of support. Lovely 3-bedroom home set in the Vivash estate. It's a beautiful little estate on the foot of the Swan River. What else could I say? It's absolutely magnificent. 3x2 and a big garage. That's where it matters. That's what all the blokes want to know. How big is the storeroom? How big is the garage? And the rest is left up to the ladies of the home. But yeah, it's actually a very narrow lot, but great design that uses up their whole block, and just beautiful finishes, high ceilings, and look, all the sponsors and everyone that have helped, from the pouring of the concrete, the brickwork, the roof, all the electrical. These are all just big ticket items that people have got behind the club and help just as much as anyone. If we don't get behind community sport and help them out where we can in doing what we do, then it's really tough for them. So especially with such a great club as Perth, they give so much back to the community with all their different elements, blind football, all the things that they do. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to get behind such a great club and help out.
We're with Alex from Charles Alexander Real Estate. Alex, you've been primed with the job to make sure that you can get Perth Soccer Club as much money as you can for the house, essentially.
Exactly. It appears that way, doesn't it, Blaine? My role is I'm obviously the real estate agent. The other advantage I have is I've worked this area before, so I know it quite well. I've sold 3 properties in the last 12 months in very close vicinity to this house, one just down the road and one around the corner. Prices were high then, and prices are even higher now. So the market's looking good, it's looking strong. And I think we're going to get this over the line to close to 920. So there's a couple of options that we've got to market it, but around that price, given the market, it is a good buy.
Big thank you to Jason Marocchi, Vince Maltari there from Trio Homes, and Alex Valiavello from Charles Alexander Real Estate, who will be, the man appointed to try and get as much in the bank for the Perth Soccer Club as possible. But hey, what a terrific and innovative idea that is to get that over the line. And a big congratulations and well done. And a big thank you, of course, to all the suppliers, all the sponsors and everyone involved to get that one over the line, and looking forward to seeing the progress of that over the next few weeks. Right, let's talk a bit of football. It was a huge win on Saturday afternoon for our NPL men's side. That ran out 3-0 winners over Sorrento at the Percy Doyle Reserve. Just the one change as Curtis Mogg returned from suspension. He took up his spot at centre-back at the expense of Aidan Formston. Mogg joined Luca Herninger, Kobe Sutton and Josh Keller in a back 4 in front of keeper Mark Birighetti, of course, and an unchanged midfield of Michael Scafetta, Abdul Osman, Sam Riak and Jamie McNellis, with Ethan Banks, of course, and Gordon Perkins looking to lead the line again for the Azzurri. Perth started brightly. Scafetta volleyed home an opener from a Josh Keller cross on around 7 minutes. It was a great start there for the Azzurri, and they stayed in touch, stayed in control, I should say, without a doubt for that first half. But there was a highlight of that first half, and maybe the season so far, with the build-up play for Scafetta's second goal. The move starting with Birighetti all the way at the back, played superbly down the right side. Beautiful link-up play between Josh Keller and Gordon Perkins, whose pinpoint delivery absolutely split open the Sorrento defence, leaving Scafetta for a pretty simple finish past the Sorrento keeper in David Keenan to record his third goal of the season. And then in the second half, I believe it was Sam Ryak who put the cherry on top when he was assisted by David Ninkovic to complete the 3-0 win. So outstanding result there for Perth, their first away win of the season. And when we match that up with the other results across the league, so I'll just go through them for you now. A 3-0 win for Bayswater over the Western Knights. Perth Red Star recorded an upset win over Olympic Kingsway. Armidale beat Balcatta. Fremantle City recorded their first point of the season with their 2-2 draw against Stirling. And Perth Glory, they thumped Floreat Athena 4-0 at the Sam Kerr Football Centre. So putting that all the equations together and having a look at the table, Bayswater lead the way on 12 points with an unblemished record in 2025, followed by Perth Glory and Perth SC, both on 10 points. Olympic Kingsway on 9, Armidale on 8, followed by Perth Red Star. Western Knights with Balcatta and Sorrento, with Balcatta, and then Sorrento, Fremantle and Floreat completing the table all on one solitary point. after 4 rounds of the NPL men's competition. So it's been a cracking start for the Perth SC men's team, and long may it continue. Very much looking forward to watching their progress throughout the coming weeks, and we'll surely chat a little bit more about that with Michael Scafetta a little bit later on. For the senior women's side, well, the Azzurri girls, they travelled to Mount Claremont to take on UWA Nedlands. It was another rotation of Tom Glavich's side, with Tamsin Hannon, Louise Turner and Violet Longmore coming back into the starting lineup, which defeated Murdoch Uni in the previous round. Maya Archibald, she's made us almost a seamless transition into senior football, hasn't she? She opened the scoring from relatively close range after jumping on a bit of an errant pass from UWA, just about a quarter of an hour in, before Tamsin Hannon doubled the advantage when UWA failed to clear their lines to send Perth into the sheds with that 2-0 advantage. They came out the other side, and a bit of a wonder strike, wasn't it, from April Noscent, who midway through that second half, and she made it 3 for Perth before Sam Mathers set up Daisy McAllister to complete that 4-0 rout. So it was an outstanding result, and one that maybe plenty of would have seen coming, but hey, you've still got to do it on the park, don't you, and on the grass on the day. So they're absolutely doing that at the moment, the Azzurri girls. And, just to have a bit of a look at the other results from the NPL women's competition, the Football West Academy, of course, the NTC, they defeated Fremantle City 3-1. Balcatta, they made light work of Murdoch with a 5-0 win as Red Star thumped Subiaco 6-0 up there at the campus in Joondalup. So the way the table looks for the women at the moment, the Azzurri girls, well, they sit high and mighty on top of the NPLWA ladder with the Football West Academy just behind on goal difference. Red Star move into 3rd, Balcatta sit in 4th, Subiaco in 5th, followed by Fremantle, Murdoch Uni and UWA, who are both yet to get off the mark in 2025. A few other results for the Azzurri across the weekend, and I'm absolutely stoked to be able to say it was a perfect weekend for our senior sides. All across the board, with our 23s men, they recorded a 2-1 win over Sorrento. Taylor Phoenix Wright and Evan Morehouse on the scoreboard there. It was also a big win for our 18s men. They bounced back brilliantly from their loss last week against Stirling. They recorded a big 4-0 win. A hat-trick there to Braden Nicolau, and one on the board for Harry Surtees. And our 21s women, it was a big 6-2 win. Molly McCready with a hat-trick there too for Amy Lee Blackwell, and one for substitute Taya Roberts to complete a perfect weekend for all 5 of our senior sides. Big well done to everyone. That is absolutely outstanding. Right, let's dive a little bit deeper, and we'll welcome Michael Scafetta right here next on the Perth SC Podcast. Big result on the weekend for the Perth Soccer Club men's team. In fact, it was an outstanding result, 3-0 away to Sorrento. Going into the match, it could have been a bit tricky. Of course, Sorrento taking out the night series for 2025. A little bit of an unknown quantity coming up from last year. But a man who was front and centre in that victory was Michael Scafetta, who's with us. Michael, thanks for jumping on, mate.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, no worries at all. Mate, settling back into Perth Soccer Club. You spent a little bit of time away in Italy. We'll talk about that as well, mate. But how's things happening here at the moment?
Yeah, it's good to be back with my family, playing football, obviously, in a new system, one that is new to me, and I think I've adapted well to it, and I'm just enjoying playing. It's a good bunch of boys and a strong team, and we've got good aspirations for the season ahead.
Playing under, of course, Kenny Lowe must be pretty good. A guy who's coached at one of the highest levels, I guess, and his wealth of experience. How have you found that?
Yeah, look, when I first came back, I went and met with Kenny. He talked me through, what his game is in a nutshell, and I was sold straight away. It's always the ball, something I'm really fond of, and everyone works as a team. It's really fluid in the way the players move. And I think it really suits the type of players we have well, because most of our boys are ball-dominating players, and I think you can see so far this season it's the hard work that Kenny and the other coaches put in and the boys put in on the field's really coming to fruition.
I did mention you spent a bit of time, well, you were here and then you were away over in Italy.
Yes, so I moved to Perth Soccer Club in 2023, or at the end of 2022, and I played half a season here, and then I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to move over to Italy and play with Messina in the Serie C, and I was there for the most part of a year before I've come back.
Can I ask how that move came about? Because, I mean, it's a pretty unique place to go to Sicily and play a bit of football.
It is. Look, basically, it kind of started a few years earlier when I was probably 15, maybe 16, playing, and I was seen by someone who was based in Italy and is now based in Perth. He saw me, and it was kind of a long process to get the opportunity, because sometimes I think that's the hardest part, getting the opportunity to prove yourself. But the opportunity came up, and obviously it was at a difficult time because it was halfway through the season. But the club was really good with it. They supported me, and they, I guess, allowed me to pursue that and to give it my all. And I went over there and thankfully impressed, and didn't look back.
How did you find that whole experience? Because, I mean, I know you've got Italian background, but I mean, how settling into essentially a new kind of culture, and I'm not too sure how your Italian is and everything else like that. So.
I mean, before I went over, I was very confident that I could understand the language. I couldn't really speak it, and I think when I got over there, you realise, well, these guys are speaking at conversational pace. You don't really understand anything, to be honest. And the lifestyle was completely different. Obviously, football was at the forefront of that because the coach is speaking a different language. You want to try and settle into the change rooms. I was lucky enough that I was put up in accommodation with a couple boys who were really welcoming, and still today are two of my best friends. We speak every day. So,
were they Italian boys?
They were Italian boys. So, I can speak, I'd say, fluently now. And I think I really told myself I'm going to try, and, I'm over there in their kind of culture. I'm going to try and give it my all, even if I mess up, and I did heaps of times, but I think it all just is part of the process. And, Do
you feel you are not only a better player for that experience, but a better person? I mean, it's a huge growing thing to go out on your own and spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I think for the first 18 years of my life, I was used to, mum and probably doing everything for me at home, and to go over there and suddenly have to do everything yourself, and just little everyday tasks that you don't even realise are so important. That's, I think I've definitely grown that. In terms of football, I was coached by, I don't think you realise until you're there and you're actually with them, you realise how close you are to everything. I was coached by Carmelo Mancuso, who was, I guess, Paolo Maldini's direct opposition at left back at AC Milan. Learnt, I guess, a tactical side of the game that I'd never been introduced to here in Perth. And technically, I think it's another level over there, and the hunger as well, because a lot of these boys, football's all they have, and the only way to, I guess, put food on the table.
And I guess, I mean, we think that we're pretty passionate about our football, but as you said, it's sometimes whether you have a livelihood or not. But I guess, you go down the whole road of calling it maybe a religion.
Yeah, 100%. Football over there is, it's everything. In a small city like Messina as well, I'm a really storied club that are now in the third tier. Once upon a time they were fighting for, good positions in the Serie A. So they still got a massive fan base. I think they've got the third, fourth biggest stadium in Italy. The ultras every week, sometimes at the training ground. It's completely different, and I think you really realise how how motivated and how, I guess, level-headed you need to be on a daily basis just to not let any of that get to you.
How did you find that pressure, of course, not only of the club, but as you said, you've got a full city and a pretty bloody passionate fan base as well?
Yeah, look, it's difficult at times, but I think look, you're there to play football at the end of the day. I was fortunate because, you know, like I've shown, I've come back home. So, not that I was comfortable in terms of having something to fall back on, but I don't think you'd ever really understand what it's like to have that pressure when, you know, like it's all or nothing. Obviously I gave my absolute all, and of course the pressure's there. But I just really enjoyed my time. Try not to let anything like that get to me and just try to take everything in my stride.
How did you find the standard over there? It's always something that coming here from Western Australia, even Australia, we kind of tried to match up the A-League with some of the standards over, or even the NPL. How did you find that?
Look, I think, to be honest, I think the level, although I've only been gone probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I think it has definitely improved the standard since the last time. Look, there's players over there who, you know, they're seasoned professionals. In saying that, there are a lot of boys here in Perth playing who can take that next step, whether it be, you know, NPL over East or A-League or even further. I think I'd be lying if I said it was the same level as here, because look, when you play every day on the street from, you know, 3-4 years old, I think the level of technical ability is just going to be a different class. And when you've got that level of coaching, not to say the coaching in Perth is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but when you've got players who have been at that very, very top level and managers who have been at that very, very top level, I think you're going to develop, you know, all the time.
What are you doing away from football, mate?
So I'm busy at the moment. I'm studying construction management at Curtin. I'm working at a construction company as well, which I was lucky to get. And then I'm also doing a bit of coaching on the side with very young kids at daycares. I work with Fed, actually, yeah. So how
does that go?
Yeah, good. It can be a bit stressful at times, but for most of the time, the kids are good.
No, absolutely. Mate, football, growing up, of course, Italian background, so I guess football was always a bit of a passion. Who are some of your inspirations, mate? What's your connection originally?
Definitely my dad. From what I've heard, he was a pretty good player. And you know, he was always my number one supporter and the first one to tell me when I needed to improve.
Sure.
So he was that driving factor. You know, all the, I guess, sessions on our own we'd do where he'd push me, and I'd probably get upset at the time. And then now you look back and, you know, I can confidently say I wouldn't be half the player I am today if it wasn't for him.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Definitely my dad.
Yeah, very good. Do you feel that that experience, you've brought some aspects back to your game that you're, I guess, utilising out there in 2025?
Yeah, for sure. I think having facilities over there and being in the position I was, I really tried to take advantage of, you know, just my personal training and things like that, trying to squeeze every bit I could. So, look, I think most of it's just confidence, knowing I've played at that level and coming back here, being confident in both, I guess, the tactical side of the game. I've learned technical side and things I've worked on. Just coming back here and, you know, playing with a good bunch of boys, some of my really close mates, and just being confident about my football.
Yeah. Mate, out on the wing, you're pretty attacking minded. Does that come naturally, or is that just your natural game, or is that something that you had to kind of work on to really make that position your own?
Look, I wasn't always an attacker. I played mostly in midfield. Kind of as the years progressed, I kind of developed into more of a forward player. I was always forward minded. And I think I'd always be a very dangerous player, but I never I guess, had that killer instinct in terms of scoring, assisting. That's something I've worked on a lot over the off-season, the last year or so, and I'm just happy it's starting to show on game day.
The core of the side has been there for maybe a year or a couple of years there now. Obviously, you come back into it, but it seems like it's almost happened seamlessly for a couple of you guys. Obviously, we know the troubles that the club had last year. Didn't finish where they wanted to, but you guys are flying at the moment, and I think a fair bit of that, is it fair to say, comes down to the way that you guys are fitting in together. You get on very well off the pitch as well as on it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we're a pretty close group of boys, especially a few of us, we'll see each other most, I guess, weekends when we're free. But look, I think it comes down to we played with each other before. Obviously, I was away from the club, but I still played with guys like Gordon, Ethan, Didi Devaninkovic, Josh Carla, Abdul, all these guys who are kind of attack-minded. We all think alike. We all want to help the team as much as possible, and I think we have a really good connection.
A big game coming up this weekend. Bit of a different game, I guess, because it is a cup fixture against what may be seen as a bit of a lowly opposition, Perth AFC, who play in the Sundays. But how do you approach this one compared to your stock standard league game? Is it any different?
Look, I think a lot of the time we try to focus on what we do as a team.
Sure.
We know that the level that Kenny wants us to play and the level we're capable of playing matches up against anyone in the league. So it's never a matter of us kind of changing the way we play for any team. So I think this game is just another game where, we've got to definitely be switched on, because we know the longer the game goes, being kind of balanced is, would favour them almost as the underdogs. So it's really important to get a nice early start and just be switched on from a minute go. And yeah, if we play the way we're capable of, it should be a pretty good game. And
just looking back on that last league result against Sorrento, could it have gone any better? I mean, a 3-0 away win to Sorrento. You guys must have been stoked with that.
Yeah, it's always a difficult place to go up there, They're a really physical, experienced side. So as a younger side, to go over there and to really dominate the game like we did. Obviously 2 early goals we got and then 1 late one, but I think in between the goals we managed the game really, really well, and not once did we look like almost conceding. So I think it gives confidence to the young boys knowing they can hold out results like that against, seasoned campaigners. And yeah, just another 3 points is crucial at this point of the season.
And you scored 2 on the weekend. It was the second one who I think we were talking about off air.
Yeah.
That move from the back. I mean, that's got to be almost one of the perfect team goals, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course. We work on that every night on the training field. And, there's been glimpses of it during our first few games, and a lot of our goals have kind of been related to plays like that, but I think to score almost a textbook goal like that, it just shows how much everyone's willing to learn and adapt to Kenny's style and how much everyone's on board. And it's really good to see.
What's the goals for Michael Scafetta and for the rest of 2025?
Look, I just want to help the team be as progressive playing as possible. I've never won silverware in my times playing football, and I think we've got a really good opportunity to do that this season. So, winning as many games and helping the team and in as many ways as possible would be my goals, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I'm sure that'll come to the, tune to the ears of the passionate Azzurri fans as well. Let's hope it can start this weekend and go on a bit of a cup run. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
No
Very
worries.
much appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Welcome back to the Perth SC Podcast. Big thank you to Michael Scafetta, who joined us just before that little break. It's been a cracking season so far also for the NPL women. A cracking 4-0 result at the hands of UWA on the weekend. And Well, a big part of that that victory was Sam Mathers, who's joining us on the pod. Sam, thanks for jumping on.
No worries.
Are you as nervous as the rest of them have been?
Of course I am, yeah. Yeah.
Just a conversation, just a chat between friends. Season so far, pretty good.
Yeah, it's been an incredible start to the season. Obviously sitting at the top of the table at the moment, which is a really good place to be in. Only 3 games in, so lots to build on, but definitely a great start. And
yourself, how do you feel your personal performances have been tracking?
Personal performances are a bit up and down, but it's been good being in the squad, and then had a bit of time on the bench last weekend, so it was good to watch from the side and kind of pick up some things to then bring into the game. But in terms of like being around the girls, it's amazing. It's an awesome group of girls.
There's been a bit of a squad rotation from week to week. I mean, it suggests that things are pretty good, that you can have that next player just come in pretty seamlessly. Is that the way it feels? Yeah,
there's heaps of depth in the team. Lots of people that can play a variety of positions and fill them well. So it's always like a bit of a fight for your spot, which just makes everything even better, like lifts the level of everything.
What do you feel are besides the depth, what do you feel the kind of key strengths have been for the side this year?
I think it feels like we've just had a lot of success in like reading each other and how each other play. I don't know if that's because like the stuff we do off the park as well.
Yeah.
But it just feels like we're really connecting. Like we can find some good plays, good rotation, good through balls, and it's just working really well to get us in front of goal and get lots of opportunities.
I spoke to Violet Longmore last week, and she, of course, joined this year, but you're someone who's been around for a couple of years now. You've, I guess, been part of that core that was already here. Now the new players have come into it and obviously fitted in pretty well, but, I mean, it must just be to be playing alongside, Jess Flannery and McAllister and these kind of players that have been there a while. I mean, how beneficial is that?
Yeah, it's good. It's always good to play with people you're familiar with as well, because you learn obviously their style of play and how to work well with them. And then it's just good having fresh legs and fresh people come in as well, because it gives you a whole new idea, a whole new variety, and you can play a different way. It's just good to have a mix of both, I reckon.
Do you feel the styles changed this year under Tom and Fernando compared to maybe how you're playing with Brogues?
Not massively. I think we're still playing a very attacking style. With aims to just try and get forward and score heaps. I don't think too much has changed. Not that I've picked up on.
And it seems like there's also a lot of contributors all across the park, but particularly in the goal scoring department. Whereas last year there was a lot of reliance on Ella Lincoln.
Yeah.
Where I looked across the weekend. I think who was it? Nascent, Archibald, Tamsin Hannon. And if you look across the season, it feels like there's a lot more contributors.
Yeah, there's heaps of different goal scorers. I think that's part of the squad rotation as well, having a variety of different people come in, new people coming into different positions each week. Gives people a good chance to try things out and score. I think it's been good having lots of different goal scorers. Good for the team. And including yourself, a couple in the bag already. So including that little bit of Wonder Olympico at Murdoch. Yeah. There's a how did you see that? I wasn't expecting it. I think the wind might have helped a little bit, but a goal's a goal. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, put another one on the board. Beautiful. As a winger, though, I mean, you love scoring, but surely it's just as important to be able to set up the likes of, McAllister and Archibald and these kind of players. Yeah, it's been good with Tommy and the style of play he wants. Like, have heaps of opportunities to cut in and score, or opportunities to take the ball wide and get the crosses in. We've always got numbers forward. He's very big on like everyone attack, everyone defend. Like, we do everything as a unit. So heaps of options when you're going towards goal. It feels like one of your key strengths is your crossing. Is it something that you've worked on? I think it kind of just happened with playing out wide. I didn't used to be a winger, and so when I kind of got put out there, I obviously had to work on it, and I think it's just developed with that time out wide. And prior to Perth, what was the football landscape looking like for Sam Mathers? Before Perth, I was at Melville. Sure. I was there when they had a cracking season. it was a really good start to that season for me. And then we kind of obviously took a bit of a downfall at Melville, but it was still a good team to be in. I learnt heaps there. I was playing up at 9 and out wide. That's where I first started playing out wide. So that gave me massive opportunities to grow there. I had heaps of freedom there, which was good.
And even little Sam, how did she first get involved in football?
Little Sam. I was going to play footy, like AFL, but there were no girls' teams.
Right?
Yeah, my parents didn't want me playing footy in a boys' team, so I got lumped into playing football, and then it just took off. I loved it and just kept going.
Well, absolutely. You loved it enough to get pulled into the WA state side. That must have been a real highlight.
Yeah, it was great. Even that in itself was just a really good opportunity. I love playing with like a variety of different teams and new people, new coaches, because it's always a learning opportunity. And obviously there's always people watching those games as well. So
I'm always interested in, I guess, the different dynamics, particularly between the men's and the women's game. And of course, it's come a long way, the women's game, but there's still a fair gap in terms of having to go out and find a job, and the pathways don't seem to be as clear cut. The opportunities don't seem to be as clear cut. How do you see it as someone who's at the coalface?
I definitely see it how you said it. I think it's getting better. There's definitely a lot more money and like time and resources being invested into women's football. It's something that's growing massively, especially even just here at Perth. It's definitely become a big thing recently. We had a lot of success last year, and I think that's given us even like a lot more stuff has been like devoted to us to get even better and better. But I definitely think it's been a challenging thing for lots of people in the past. But there's definitely lots of growth in it.
Is it fair to say that you've really got to sum up a hell of a lot more if you were wanting to make a career out of football?
Yeah.
Does that if that question makes a little bit of sense? As far as your work-life balance and everything else like that?
Like we have to sort of devote a lot more.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a lot of sacrifice, I think. You do have to put a lot of time into it, and it takes a lot of time away from things like work or study. So it is hard finding a balance where obviously you push yourself in football so you can go as far as you can, but still having that backup option like a study or a job or anything on the side.
And of course you work in education.
Yeah.
How do you find that, and how do you find the balance with football?
At the moment I'm lucky because my job's sort of I work at the school, so it's a full-time school role. So I've got time after school hours, like I can always make it to training and that stuff. So I'm quite lucky in that sense. But when I was at school and working a job as well as studying at school, it was definitely hard finding a balance between study, school, work and football. I think it was a lot, and I never really found that balance. So I'm lucky to be in the place I am now. Yeah,
no, absolutely. This season, 2025 competition, it seems just super tight. I mean, it's really, really hard to try and gauge a winner or even predict anything in this league. You know, to give you an example, Red Star seems to have come back into the pack. Fremantle seems to have stepped up for somewhat. You've got the NTC, which looks like this year's going to be a hugely promising graduating year. But with all that said, I mean, you must be seeing and licking your lips at the opportunity of what could be for the Azuri girls.
Yeah, there's been heaps of interesting results so far. There's heaps to play for on the line this season. I think amongst the top teams that you mentioned, there's just going to be like so much competition. It's going to be really good battles and good games, I think. But I definitely have high hopes for us here at Perth. Hopefully we can go all the way and get some really good results against. So I'm super keen to play those teams like NTC and Red Star. We've had some cracking results already. See how we go against them.
This weekend, Subiaco at home, Sunday afternoon. Must just be nice to be back at home after a couple of away games.
Yeah, always love playing here. It just feels comfortable. Obviously, we know the field well. Love the size of Dorian. Not sure everyone else does, but I love it.
It's a bit bigger, yeah.
Yeah, just love the width and the length. But yeah, no, it'd be good to take on Subiaco at home again.
What have you made of them so far this season? And where do you feel you've got to be on your game?
For me personally, or like as a squad?
Team, yeah.
I think one of our things is staying concentrated the whole game. Obviously 90 minutes plus is quite a long time, but to stay concentrated and just not let those little things slip is obviously what's going to help us win games. Because we get lots of shots on goal and we're sometimes clinical.
Yeah.
We score quite a bit. So yeah, it's just not conceding as well, which will give us extra points and stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's great because it feels like there's more and more support for you girls, coming, each and every year and each and every game. So, I mean, that must be a positive as well, that you can come down here and know that you've got the home crowd behind you.
Yeah, it's always awesome looking up into the stands and, like, they're usually pretty full, quite packed. It's good. Like, I see my friends here, my family comes. I love having people around that I know are supporting me. It just creates a really good environment, I reckon, yeah. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Sam, thanks very much for jumping on and giving us a few minutes.
Thank you.
Well, we're just about set to wrap up another edition of the Perth SC podcast. First of all, quick look at the weekend, what we can look out for. Saturday afternoon, Australia Cup returns to Dorrien Gardens as Perth take on amateur Div 2 side Perth AFC. Kickoff for that one is 3 p.m. You never know what the cup might dish up, the magic of the cup and all that. So certainly one to get along to. For the 18s and the 23s, they're going to take on Perth Glory in their scheduled cup fixtures earlier in the day. So look out for that. Get down to Dorrien Gardens nice and early and make sure you get behind the 18s and 23s as well. NPLW, well, that's all happening on Sunday. That is going to be a 3 p.m. kickoff against Subiaco. And prior to that, of course, the women's 21s in action as well. Well, we're just about set to wrap things up for another episode. Big thank you once again to Lydio Fiore. Make sure you head down and say g'day to him at Camera House in Leederville. And also, don't forget to tell your friends and family about the Perth SC podcast. You can subscribe through Spotify, through Apple and YouTube Music. And also, we'd love it if you could spend a quick second to give the podcast a bit of a rating on the relevant platforms, which helps, of course, raise the profile of not only the podcast, but, of course, everything else happening at the mighty Perth Soccer Club. Good luck to all the sides this weekend, and come on, New Zealand.